Hi everybody, welcome back to Asclepion podcast, the podcast for awareness and growth. My name is Pepine van den Berg and I'm with
Myoki.
And today we are going to hope to inspire you on this topic on self-care, which I think and Myoki thinks it's a very important topic. Especially when you're dealing with a process, when you're, for example, grieving, when you are in recovery from addiction. There's so many examples to think of when self-care is really, really important. And to have a little bit of a model around self-care, I would like to perhaps for some of you introduce, and for some of them it's already a known graph, and that's the polyvagal theory, the science of safety. And so we're going to discuss the self-care in relationship to the polyvagal theory, and the polyvagal theory is about the body. I think self-care, we're not talking about skincare or what restaurants to go to or what facials to get. No, I think self-care is the opposite of self-numbing. How to really take care of yourself, it's self-knowledge. And to come down from the sympathetic state, the fight or flight, or even the free state. That's what I believe is self-care all about. To self-regulate, to care for yourself, to acknowledge your needs. So it's a really, really interesting topic. And first of all, were we allowed to take care of ourselves in our childhood? Because it's quite new, this notion of self-care. We both have parents, grandparents who had to work really, really hard. So self-care can border on being selfish. It is not, but I was raised that when you have your free time, you have to do something useful. Mm-hmm. How was it in your childhood?
We had a very yin-yang household, where my mom was the yin. She always encouraged me to go out, to go dancing, to go visit friends. And my father was the yang, really work hard, study hard. And it's very understandable because my parents survived World War II. They had to rebuild this country. So if you like it or not, you have to work. And you have to work hard. Mm-hmm. So that's their perception, and it became visceral, almost visceral. And this day and age where we're living in now asks something different of human beings. Mm-hmm. Like self-care.
Yeah.
In the way you just described it. Mm-hmm. Because I think if I would ask my parents self-care, they would come up like skincare.
Yeah.
Go under the shower regularly, go to the hairdresser regularly.
Yeah.
Present yourself in a nice way. Mm-hmm. So that's different as what it's asked of you now, in this day and age.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
because the society became digital, became way more stressful from all sides and all kinds of threats, viruses, war, and all kind of stuff. So it takes a different approach, I think, on the subject of self-care.
Yeah.
Way different as it was 50 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And also when you're in the stage of having children, you're young parents, self-care is also out the door. But when you have more time, children are grown, perhaps have left the household, there's more time. But coming back to stress and having all these feeling stressed is a state of a sympathetic state of fight flight. Mm-hmm. And when it's really very overwhelming, too overwhelming, you go into the freeze response. Mm-hmm. And then you have the danger is that you start to do, then you go to numb yourself. Mm-hmm. So in this day and age you have the antidepressants, there's a lot of alcohol, there are not that antidepressants, if you're on them, and it's fine, it's totally fine. Alcohol, I've stopped drinking alcohol. It's a part of my self-care. There is scrolling too much on your telephone, what have you. So many things to self-numb. Food, because you're in a high-functioning freeze response. This self-numbing, perhaps you recognize this, and that's the opposite of self-care. Because self-care is you energize from self-care. You get inspired by self-care. Mm-hmm. And self-numbing is you feel even more depleted afterwards. Mm-hmm. Because
flatliner.
Yeah.
You're flatlining.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and you self-numb to try to deactivate. So if you're here, we have the polyvagal theory in the picture, but I'm going to show it on my graph here. So you see in the picture this wavy line from the dorsal vagal freeze state into sympathetic state, because you want to deactivate, and then you come down. But then it's like when you have a numb hand, and when the feeling comes back in your hand, you feel all these pins and needles. So coming out of a freeze response can be very painful. And then the reaction is to go back up, to self-numb, to go back into this freeze response, because you don't want to feel the pain. The pain of all the emotions you want to numb. You don't want to feel. So it's so self-care in this sense, I hope you can follow what we mean, what I mean. Self-care in this sense is to navigate all these emotions.
To stick with your pins and needles.
To stick with them, and that's where the self-care comes in. So to make a space for it, to hold space for these.
Hold space
for all these emotions. And then when you deactivate in steps, you connect to yourself by self-care. You become ventral vagal. And then feel joy, be in the present, feel grounded, be curious and open, feel compassion and be mindful. So that is the green bar underneath the graph. Yeah, that's a whole mouthful. Yeah.
I think this is the most difficult state.
Yeah.
Because you really have to learn or to relearn how to hold space for your own pins and needles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And many times you need somebody else to relearn it to you, to hold space for you so you can relearn it.
Yeah, yeah, to co-regulate your system, which is back into the danger zone, as it were. And yeah. And then self-care, a good self-care protocol is really, really helpful, and it's a process. What works for me doesn't work for Myoki, doesn't work for you, but what works for me, yeah, it's self-knowledge.
Yeah, and also it changes over time.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Because everything helps, but nothing ever helps all the time.
And nothing stays the same.
And nothing stays the same.
You don't stay the same. The situation doesn't stay the same. Society doesn't change. Doesn't stay the same. This changing.
Yeah.
And that's part of life, or rather, this is life.
Yeah.
Life is changing.
Yeah. And also not. I think the first step is not to be scared of your feelings and the change and the overwhelm.
Mm. And there are many things you can do to down-regulate.
Yeah.
And it also takes time to learn those steps.
Yeah.
And if you think you found one step which helps you, it doesn't stay the same. So you need to get rid of your backpack with problems, and you need to buy a new backpack with how you can down-regulate.
Yeah.
So if this doesn't help, well, maybe this one.
Yeah. And that's the fun part.
It can become a fun part. Not always.
No, I know what you mean. But when you found all these self-care tools, then...
And also if you feel Mother Earth back under your feet, then it becomes fun again.
Yeah.
Because then you can identify, hey, I'm going up.
Yeah.
Open up this backpack, going down.
Yeah. And you can navigate the waves. Yeah, that's true. And you build up your resilience. I think that's also a very good word. Because you're a superhero, aren't you? when you navigate this minefield of all these feelings of anxiety, of stress, you're really a superhero when you start to process it together with someone, and when you start to fill your backpack up with self-care tools. And also we are very hypersensitive.
We're just sensitive.
Sensitive, yeah, sensitive.
Nothing hyper.
Highly. Sorry, highly. I forgot the word. Highly sensitive. At least I am highly sensitive. So I used to do this self-numbing, so not to numb the overwhelm. I think when you're in recovery, and you need to fill the gaps with self-care. So one of an example is I have a morning routine. I love the mornings. My sleep is self-care number one. I prioritize sleep. So I like to wake up refreshed in the morning. I have my cup of cacao, raw cacao, and my very nourishing mug cake with my banana, my egg, my seeds, my everything. I love it. That's my one. And I have a 1.5 hour morning ritual before work. And I don't like being I don't like to be stressed in the morning. Yeah, so that's one thing.
And an evening routine might help too.
Yeah, that's why. So there's my morning routine. I don't really have my self-care, so I have time between clients. it's at least 15 minutes. I open the window. I make sure that the energy in my office is back to a sort of a baseline. Neutral, all the energy is gone. So that's a self-care protocol, to take your time between clients. And then I take at least an hour after my work before I go home. So I down-regulate. I'm in this space, which is a lovely space. And then I go home. And after 8 o'clock, I don't take any calls. I don't want to have any social things at night. That's something I'm very strict about. So, and then that's my evening routine. Yeah, to down-regulate and go to bed a little early. Yeah, and that helps me to come off of to become in a ventral vagal state, the green bar. Yeah, and a lot of movement, walking outside. I love nature, and in the evenings I'm very creative. That's where I do my hobbies. Yeah. So that's something I do.
Until life becomes one big hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really experience a lot of stress. No. I had to. Yeah. It may sound a little boring.
Why?
Because nothing really exciting happens, really.
Well,
but that's okay. We have to embrace, I think, a kind of easygoing. I don't attract many problems in my life. And how is your self-care routine?
Part of my self-care routine is create, and I think that's the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it can be on a variety of subjects. Be as creative and be as crazy as possible.
Yeah.
And most of it, laugh about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can really laugh about myself when something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Which changes the energy immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 And what helped for me when I was really in this high functioning freeze response was the theory exercises, which helped me. So checking in with my body, working through trauma, and and then journaling everything I felt, everything I experienced, I journaled about, and talked about with my coaches, with my teachers, and and that helps to really come into feel safe in your body, feel connected, and from that time feel connected to the rest of my community. Yeah,
to the world, to the seasons.
To the world. Yeah. So I hope we've inspired you to explore self-care for yourself. If there are any questions, please put them in the comments.
And don't forget to push the notification button.
And please subscribe
and like. All that kind of good stuff.
Etc. etc. So, and talking about self-care and tools, we have a
lot of tools of integration.
Yeah, we have a playlist. We've made lots of videos on tools of integration. So to inspire you to maybe perhaps do one of them yourself, to fill the gap if you are a little bored or something, or you want to do self-care instead of self-numbing. Being creative is marvelous. So please check that out, and see you next time.
See you next time.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
You. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.